Our crew member that is in the virtual studio. Okay, Eddie Sharp is in the virtual studio.
I'm here. Is your boy ready, Eddie? What's up?
Eddie was not ready. Welcome to the show. So there is some stuff happening as far as feedback. So make sure that your phones are turned down and you are listening through your headphones. And for those of you who are listening through the app and online, welcome to the show. It's a big show tonight. Happy Father's Day to everyone, all of you fathers, everyone that's a father, all of you father figures. Happy Father's Day to you. Once again, this is Juneteenth weekend. It's a whole weekend. I can only imagine that soon it will be a whole weekend. So happy Juneteenth to you all. And then World Sickle Cell Day on yesterday as well. We had a long, busy weekend, but here we are at the end of it, getting ready to get into the next week. So, of course, because it's Father's Day, that's where the conversation starts. And then we have our special guest, Attorney Adrienne Moffet Powell, who's going to get all up in some family law. And I know you got questions and you have things you want to know. She's a homegirl from right around the way as well. I mean, we only fool from, with people from around the way. Like, they got to be a certain type of people. And
I thought I heard her say West Side.
we did. And like it was just this instant connection. Oh, she's a sister from around the way. So we're going to get into that very shortly. Ready, Eddie, are we going to the black of your mind on this grand Father's Day? You're muted. Get it together.
I'm sorry. My sister setup over here is going crazy.
Are we going to the black of it?
Yes, ma'am. We're going to the black of it.
All right, you ready?
It's just a quick in the black of my mind. In the black of my mind, I wonder when we are going to transform into a society that can be nurtured by the male figures. We're having a lot of conversation these days about men's roles and women's roles in the absence of what men have and holding women responsible for the raising of young boys. But today is a day where we can reflect right now on what we can do to build our culture up, to communicate with the young boys, to communicate with the women, and to become better men. And the way that I tell my clients is, if you are doing the best that you can today, just do the same thing tomorrow. And if you feel like you can do better, then do better tomorrow. And if you just follow that pattern, then you'll be in a better place. And I think that this is a good day for us as men to reflect on what we are and be what we can for all of the men around us. Because whether you know it or not, men need it. Your homeboy next to you need it, whether he's saying it or not. The children in your neighborhood need it, whether they're saying it. The older elders in the community, they need it. Men, it's a good time for us to come together and be there for one another. This is a good day for that.
That's good. Ready, Eddie, everybody in the back of the black of his mind right here on Vital. So Father's Day being a good day for that. Then this weekend too, I guess, Eddie, with it being Juneteenth and us, that's all about freedom. That's about blackness. That's about unity. That's about truth. Because a big part of the reason that people were still enslaved those 2 extra years are because somebody was scared to tell the truth. In that particular situation, it was slave owners. They were afraid to tell the truth to those slaves. They wanted to continue to make money off of them, continue to use them. And that's what they did for 2 additional years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. And that alone just really, I don't know, that does something to me because I'm like, now, you take them to Texas and you try to hide them there. That was the whole premise of what was happening. Like, we're going to take our stock over there, take our people, or take, well, they didn't consider them people, take our workers there, take our property there, and hide them because we need to get one more season in of crop. Did y'all know that? That's what it was about. Like, we're going to take them to Galveston, take them to different parts of Texas, and hide them there, make them continue to work for free. And they did that for an additional 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. And then a general, rode in on his horse and made the announcement. He told them, "Hey, you're free. Y'all free." And that's how it
Cut
went.
up.
That's how it
I would have
went.
cut up.
Right. So, I can only imagine what that was like. But when Eddie speaks about unity, I think about that type of unity. Like, how, okay, yeah, we free. So now what? So now that we are free, now that, well, we've been free, but now that we know that we're free and we can actually leave here and go about our way, What are we gonna do? How are we gonna come together? How are we gonna encourage each other? So Eddie, thanks for that. Thanks for that piece about black men coming together and how the world needs to see that. What have you heard in particular that made that piece of your thought come together as opposed to just something about fathers or just something about Juneteenth? Why that piece about black men being uplifted?
Realistically, what's going on in the culture right now is the rise of Kevin Samuels,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of men that have been hurt, and that hurt need to be addressed.
Mm.
That's what the conversation is about. It's just a lot of it's a point that we have to recognize where our struggles are. Again, I'm not blaming this person, but for me, what it's exposed as a counselor, because I look underneath what the experience is and
Man,
what is
what can you
bringing
say?
the people to this point. And there's a lot of us that are hurt, and it's a lot of men who were raised by women who in a society that told women that they have to be tougher on boys, and they got much tougher on boys, and those boys ended up with trauma that they display towards women when they get the
Mm.
power dynamic, you know. And
Okay.
so we got healing to do. We got healing to do. We can't just go every Father's Day calling our daddy and saying Happy Father's Day and then hanging up and then spend 364 more days, pretending like ain't nobody been hurt.
Right.
At some
Uh,
point we gotta heal.
that's good. That's good. You said a lot there about the single women raising boys and feeling as if they do need to be harder on them, but then those boys turning into men and taking that trauma out on women, and then we continue to perpetuate the cycle of dysfunction. Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Hurt people, hurt
Ooh,
people.
Hurt
We
people,
yeah.
hurt
Hey.
people. Y'all, this may go in a whole nother direction. We're gonna try to stay on target.
We gonna
I'm
You
sorry,
know,
y'all.
try,
I
uh-uh,
wanted again.
baby.
Don't get me wrong.
baby.
So
I had a
what you
great
say, babe?
conversation with my
Baby.
dad.
Oh,
I had a great conversation with my dad before this, but we probably never gonna go to counseling before he die. That's just
Right, right,
who
right.
he is. That's just that's not he's okay with what his life is. And I'm just wondering how many of us are talking to our dads today, and there is this undertone of stuff that we never gonna talk about, and we know we never gonna talk about. Or we don't know that we could talk about it if we gave it a shot, but we're
Yeah.
afraid of what response we may get from the men in our lives if we start to be vulnerable, because those men also raised us not to really be vulnerable, not intentionally, but they just weren't vulnerable because we don't live in a society that encourages men to be as vulnerable as they could be. And so now they're passively not vulnerable, and it's just hard to have that conversation with the men in your life because it's just like wall of silence between us that we feel like we're supposed to maintain, you know. But
Mm.
you listen, praise the men in your life. If a man in your life is valuable, please make sure that he knows that he's valuable. I don't want to take away from the positivity of the day and
Eh,
what goes to
sir,
men.
you're not. You're
sir.
touching
You
on something that
know,
needs to
Yeah,
be touched on.
absolutely. So, like, yeah, you definitely honor those, but it's also a time to encourage others with what you're saying. So, I we are definitely going to honor and highlight those who are phenomenal, but then we're going to get into some of the stuff that you're talking about that makes it so difficult. Y'all know we here for 2 hours. We're going to talk about all of it, Eddie. So thank you for that in the black of my mind. Let's salute fathers. So saluting those, I shall start with mine. Shouts out to my father, Larry Byron Woodruff, Larry B. Pastor Larry to some of you, Pastor Woodruff to others of you, and I'm Bonnie to some of you, my daddy to me and to my brother. So I love to shout out my parents and talk about them and how great they are, how supportive they are, because they always are. And the more that I matriculate around the world with people who may not have had those same examples, the more that I know that my standard is definitely what it should be. Like I know that it's what it should be, regardless of what I may associate myself with. So I just want to say to my dad, shouts out to be for being the standard. There have been times I know where he said, "Well, damn, if I'm the standard, who the hell is this that you just brought to me?" I
My
know.
bad,
I'm
Dad.
sorry. Like I know that that has happened, sir. But we live and we learn, and we're continuing to learn daily. And then you would think, kind of based on what Eddie said, that when people meet a great man, they would want to stay in his presence.
Yeah.
But I think that people end up being intimidated by having to change. I don't want to change to have to be around this person. But one thing about him that I can also say is that he has never enforced change.
He influences growth.
He
I know your father.
did not enforce change, but influence growth. I like that. Growth.
Growth.
He didn't teach me that either. It's growth. But I'm excited about tonight's show. I just have a lot of high energy from the weekend, and you all are going to see this for the rest of the summer. It's a hot girl summer, all 2021. So shouts out
So
to my
rich
dad.
auntie. summer.
Rich Audi. Feelings and flights. Black, shout your daddy out.
Shouts out to my daddy, Stevie Bruce McGinnis. That's my dog. That's all I can really say about it. I know if I call my daddy, I don't care what time of day, what time of night, my daddy coming. Like whatever I need. Um, that's my boy. And happy Father's Day to you. And your birthday is next Sunday as well. So happy birthday, cancers, It's our season. Love you,
Hey.
bruh.
All right.
Oh, and can I do one more shout out real quick?
Of course.
Shouts out to the father of my children, Kedrick Brown.
Idris.
Y'all might know him as Cash. Shouts out to you. I know we go through it from time to time, but all else fails, you are a great father. I can't take that
Amen.
away from you. You are there for your children any time of day or night. If somebody say, go get your daddy, well, they might as well go and get on they armor because he coming. So those are the two most important men in my life. So Kendrick Brown and Stephen McGinnis. I love you both.
That's
Happy
what it
Father's Day.
is. All right. Tip the bombshell.
Oh, okay. I want to shout out my favorite Libra person
Me.
ever. Besides Woo,
Oh,
my
Sugar
daddy,
daddy.
okay.
Ronald Whetstone, who is, I mean, y'all, my dad is the most amazing person ever. He was in the military. He has a law degree. He's a lab manager. He wanted to be a sports agent, but he didn't do that. Y'all, my dad do everything. That's where I get it from.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to shout him out because the one word that I can say my dad has always been is accepting of me.
All right.
So he's accepted everything I've ever done, whether good or bad, corrected me when he needed to. So I'm just thankful for him. Oh, and also thankful for my kids, Bonus dad, my husband, Kalahari Baggett, and their dad, Devin Crenshaw. So
Awesome.
happy Father's Day.
All right. Eddie, you want to shout your dad out, or was that your shout out when you were talking about how y'all not going to counseling?
No, 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 no. I'm gonna shout him out. My dad spent the first 14 years of my life in jail. We went to visit every now and then and whatnot. But Eddie Lamar Sharp Sr. Want to give him a shout out. I didn't spend a lot of time with him, but he is the epitome of how I understand how you can get qualities from a person without really getting much from them. Like I'll have a lot of things that my dad has that are very valuable qualities in terms of work ethic, in terms of, how we think. It's just surprising to me that you can have that. And we working on a relationship now. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to get to a counseling type relationship, but he's putting in energy and effort, and so I want to shout out to the men who have been incarcerated and lost relationships with their children. It's not too late to reach out. And and boys and girls who have had fathers who have been taken away from you due to that system. Some of it was their fault, some of it was not their fault, in terms of what the system does to black men out here. Be ready to have a conversation with them if they're ready to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
If you
All
can, and that shout out. I just want that shout out to be because there's a genre of kids out here who's had that experience, who are
genre.
grown now, and it's not too late to have that relationship. And I shout out to my pops for what his version of building that relationship is.
Love it. Thank you, Eddie. So, Attorney Adrienne, I'm going to put you in the spotlight so you can
Okay.
share as well.
Yes, thank you. So I would like to do a big warm happy Father's Day to my father, Jerry Ashford. I absolutely have the closest relationship with my dad. We have this type of relationship that I can tell him anything, and he's very honest with me.
Mm-hmm.
He always compliments me, hugs me, and I will have to say my brothers as well. I have brothers, their fathers. Shout out to them as well. And I always tell my husband, we don't have kids, but I always tell my husband and anyone that will listen, I never have to worry about seeking love or some type of validation from a man because my father
There
has
you go.
done it all my life, along with my brothers and my husband too. But I'm just saying, my father gave that to me a long time ago. And I truly appreciate that from him. I get the confidence from him. And so, again, big shout out to Jerry Ashford. That is my father.
That's what's up.
I love it.
Um, that's what's up. I like everything that we've heard. Like, I like to hear people speaking the positive things, and then there are those who can't speak those things. And there's so many more people that can't speak to a relationship with their father, or even knowing who he is, or feeling rejected by him and not understanding, well, why, why when you here, why you didn't want me, why you went over there with those people, those kids. But I think that now is a time for us to start having those conversations.
And fixing it.
Yeah, like
Yes.
fixing it, like be the parent that you didn't have.
Right.
Be the parent that you didn't have if you get that opportunity. If you don't have that opportunity, if you are the person that didn't have that parent, how, I want to kind of give some encouragement, Eddie, and I'm thinking as we go too, because this is what we do on a daily basis, just kind of helping people navigate those things. And Eddie did mention about sometimes those decisions that people make get them out of their families' lives. That happens. Sometimes trauma from their childhood, but then sometimes adult things happen that children don't understand that cause families to shift, to separate. But still being able to be that parent, what happens to that link? Like, although the adults can figure it out, once you enter a child's life, you should be there. You should, especially if it's your own. You
Right.
shouldn't go somewhere and be a better parent to other people's children, and your own children don't even know you.
I mean, you're just fueling the cycle of broken homes
Right.
and being not able to depend on a man or a black man since we are black.
Yeah.
Like it's this misconception that you can't depend on black men to do anything as far as your community goes and your family
Mm.
goes. So I feel like it's time for those cycles to be broken. Like, even if, say, you're dating a girl and you're in a girl's life for however long, 5, 6, 7 years, and you get a relationship with their kids,
Right.
like, okay, yeah, I broke up, but you have this relationship with this child. So what do? You broke up with the child too?
Basically.
That's
I
not
th-
fair.
and I just want to speak on that because we see so many people, of course, at our age. Most people have kids.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a date, and I'm talking about men, when you're dating somebody, and I wonder about that too, and you break up with them, if that person, if that woman was the type to let you meet her kids early
Mm-hmm.
on,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, how do you just and I'm speaking from experience. Like, I was married before with two step kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think about them all the time. I don't get to talk to them all the time. Like, sometimes if the kids are together, but it's like, how do you just disappear?
Just forget about it like they didn't exist.
Yeah. But you were there for, like, whether it was a year or 2 years that you were with this person, or 6 to 9 months. Kids latch on early. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Unless they know you nuts. It's
yeah.
kinda-
What are we doing? Like, where, how do we ever think about those kids,
Right.
especially little boys?
Right.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah, Eddie, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah. I've worked with a lot of kids who I had bad experiences with stepfathers.
Mm.
They were horrible. But
Okay.
the reason I believe that good stepfathers are possible is because I worked with some amazing men and families who took up the mantle of stepfather, and some of them who took up the mantle of father without that child ever knowing that it wasn't really his father.
Right. Right.
I think we do get caught. None of us, of all the people we know, none of us have a big enough sample size to understand how many fathers out there are good fathers. As a matter of fact, I think, if we go into statistics, that the idea that the black father is the one absent from the home, it don't really stand up. It was just another marketing strategy against the black community. I think we have to look first. It's just a bunch of steps we got to do. We got to look into ourselves and find out what's going on. And from my perspective, men haven't been able to be emotionally vulnerable enough in society to say, I want these step kids. And again,
Yeah. Because
with
we
the
laughed
Kevin
at her.
Samuel stuff. I don't know if y'all seen any of his videos, and I hate to be going in on this guy because it ain't about him. It's about how people are interpreting his dialogue.
Okay.
One thing that he constantly says to women is that, "Oh, you got kids? Don't no man want you with kids." And so it's a lot of men that are adopting this idea that what I look like taking care of a man's kids. That's how they see it. They don't see it as the woman's kids. They see it as the man's kids. And so it makes it like a competition thing, of me looking after somebody else's seed, you know.
Uh,
That's your
Yeah.
responsibility, though. Aren't we a village?
Right.
We love to preach that village mess, but when it comes down to actually being a village and saying, okay, well, your father's not here, so let me step in on this role and help you do this. Let me show you how to throw a baseball. Let me show
right.
you how to throw a football. That's somebody else's child. I ain't doing it. Like that's crazy.
I don't know. I don't know that I've just so much heard it that way, but what I will, just kind of thinking about influence and, like you have little league coaches, you have teachers in school who take special interest in making sure that boys and young men have what they need. They know how to drive. Some, driver's ed instructors. I think about ROTC people and band directors, people who take to young people that they see need that extra push outside of those settings in church. I'll say church and maybe just a random neighbor, but outside of those settings, I can't say that I just see people
Reaching out to
taking.
other,
I don't.
yeah.
I don't. Like organizations are cool. I shouts out to Growing Kings and C4 and Momentous and the Boy Scouts and all that. But outside of that's a small those are very small little nucleus. Yeah,
Organizations,
like
yeah.
this is such a big thing. It's such a big thing.
I think a lot of society is changing. I mean, I think that village idea is more of an old school idea for whatever reason, and I think that we've transitioned to an individual, like an individual family mindset. Like what happened outside of this, what happened in this house, stay in this house type situation. So it's really hard to open up to people outside of you, to families outside of you, and so I think that the question is, how do we get back to village? How
Mm-hmm.
do we get back to village? Who has to make the sacrifice to get back to village? It has to be between either the church, the man, or the woman. I mean, the kids are just like innocent bystanders to all of this stuff. How do we get back to village? If we're veering away from village now, how do we get back to village? That's kind of what I've been contemplating. I don't know the answer in mass. I could tell all my friends, hey, this is what you do. What are we doing as a culture? What are we doing as a group? How can we get that?
Well, let's answer that question once we come back from our first break. You are listening to the Abby Award winning Vital Show right here on V949 WATV. Father's Day edition 2021. Just taking this day from a lot of different angles. When it's a vital conversation, it's not just Happy Father's Day and all hee hee ha ha happy happy. We get into what's vital about whatever it is that we're discussing. So tonight is fatherhood and it's the family and how the family is affected by fatherhood or lack thereof. That's the conversation tonight. Hopefully somebody will be helped and encouraged. And if you need any support, you shall get it tonight. So just stay locked. We're going to go pay some bills and we'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere. Share this video if you're watching on the live. Thank y'all for watching, tuning in. Share it, share it, share it. We'll be right back in just a second. All right, everybody. So we are in our first commercial break. Keep it locked right here. If you all want to contribute anything to the conversation, do so. Put it in the comments. Talk back to us. Let us know how you're feeling. Shout your father out. Your brother, your siblings, your cousins, your neighbors, your boyfriends, your baby daddies, yourself. Put them in the comments. Let us see who's watching, who's listening. Um, we're about to get really, really deep. So you might want to go and get a pen and a notebook or either something to take some notes on. Because it's about to be some information that you're going to need to share with somebody. Okay. We'll be back to you in about 3 minutes. Hold on.
phone is too damn heavy. I don't know. There you go.
It's V94.9 WATV Sunday nights at 7 p.m. where the V stands for Vital. I'm Lady Wu. The virtual crew is in the studio. Well, the virtual crew is in the virtual studio. And then I have my crew that's here in the studio with us. And we also have special guests tonight. And I am so excited about tonight's topic and just getting to know our special guest tonight. So, you all, I told you to get your notebooks ready so that you can get this great information. I saw this young lady on a TV show and I was just like, okay. So I like the way she's delivering this. Y'all know when we have people to come on here, we need them to break it down and make it plain. We got to talk to our people the way that our people understand so that they won't miss what's up. So, welcome to the show tonight, Attorney Adrienne Moffet Powell, everyone.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, get directly in your mind because I don't want them to miss anything that you're
Okay.
saying.
Let me get this
We need you to be like, yeah,
Is
loud and
that
clear.
is that
That's
good?
perfect.
Okay, perfect.
That's
guys.
perfect.
All right.
So, tell us a little bit about the law that you practice.
Okay. I am a family law attorney. So what that means is I do the areas of practice, which is divorce, child support, custody, modifications. I deal with adoptions as well.
Hmm.
I've been practicing now. I think this is going on to 13 years.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm private practice, which means that it's just me and my office staff. And so yeah, that's pretty much mainly what I do. I love that area of practice. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. What pushed you in that direction? You hear a lot about criminal attorneys and
Right.
personal injury law. That's what you hear the
Right.
most.
Right.
But we need family law attorneys. Like, how did you get into that?
So, when we pass the bar, we're able to, as private practice attorneys, we're able to get into any area of practice that we want to.
Okay.
If we do several different areas, it's called general practice.
Hmm.
And so for me, what I did was I kind of started out in each different area, doing a little bit of criminal, a little bit of personal injury. And I found myself really liking the actual area of practice for family law
Okay.
and mainly divorces. I'm be honest with you. I don't know if it's my personality,
Uh-huh.
but there are litigators, which are attorneys that are mainly in court dealing with trials.
Okay.
And then you have like contract attorneys that are mainly in the office behind the desk. I
Hmm.
love trials. I
Okay.
love to get in there. I love to be in your face. I love the whole look of what you see as an attorney when you think about trial,
Yeah.
witnesses, and all of that. And so once I realized I end up liking more so the area of family law, that's just kind of what I dove into. Kind of dealt with a little bit of it myself. My mom died when we were really, really young, and so we end up going through family court for a few things. And I found myself wanting to know how that unfolded and became an attorney. And
Wow.
I have a better
It's
understanding.
always a personal piece when we make a big decision about like what our career shall be
Right.
when we're really in our purpose. Like when
Right.
you're in your purpose, you actually put a lot of thought into it and some real life
True.
stuff. So that's good. We like to hear the story. We like to know like, well, why do you do what you do? That's the psychology of you. That's what I do.
Okay.
So it's really interesting to know why people do what they do. So in your time of practice, when it comes, what we just talked about with
Right.
men and fathers and baby daddies. Lord, I hate that term.
Oh, I hate it too.
Oh.
I hate it too. I do not use that.
I can't
at
stand
all.
a baby dad and a baby mama, but hey, it
hate
is what it
too.
is. So when it comes to all of that stuff, and you see how these men are in court and how
Right.
they are even before court, just when it comes to these legal situations, child support, custody, all of that.
Right.
What are some of the things that you see our men are not grasping about their rights and how to go about these processes?
Believe it or not, it is truly our men. When I have the women clients, they come in, they know what they want, they know what they're entitled to. Without hesitation, they are quick to file whatever needs to be filed. They would get a lawyer at the drop of a dime.
Yeah.
However, our men do not. I tell most of the time when I have a man to come into my office to hire me for something, they are just now realizing that they had rights to things that they never even petitioned the court for. Or they petitioned the court for something so far behind and late in the game that I say to myself, if you had done this like years ago, you wouldn't be behind the eight ball on trying to fight for custody or trying to fight for child support or trying to correct what she may have fought and petitioned the court for that you didn't get an attorney for. Believe it or
Right.
not, a lot of men go to court without lawyers. I do not understand that. And when they come to me, that's the first thing I say.
Men be need help, girl.
Yeah,
They
And
like
I
need
don't
some
know
help.
why. And I tell anybody, my men clients are the hardest to fight for as an attorney. I feel like when I have a man as a client, the things that I have to do for them to get their rights and get child support done the way it needs to be, or just knowing that they could fight for custody. A lot of them don't even realize they can fight for custody. But when I go, believe it or not, yes.
Because it's the misconception and it's been put into men's minds that she the woman, so she gonna win.
And that is
Right.
exactly their mindset. Even when they come to me as the attorney, that is their mindset. They say, well, I know she's probably going to get custody anyway. And we're talking in divorce cases where the men don't understand as a husband and wife, any child that's born during the marriage,
Mhm.
they are equal parents. They're on the same footing, 50-50.
Oh,
It's
so
the same fight.
hold on, Nick. Hold on. So what you're saying is,
hmm
if two people come together and have a baby,
hmm
that it's, we're 50-50. It's
If
not.
they're
It's
married.
if they're married. It's not that we got to figure out. It's just what it is from the beginning, right?
Right. If you have a husband and wife, they are married and they have a child that's born during the marriage,
Mm-hmm.
they are 50-50 parents. And if you think about it, you say to yourself, why not?
I,
Why
I
is the
mean, it was
mom or
50-50
the
to go into it, right?
exactly? Why is the wife entitled to custody just by default because she's the
Automatically.
mother? No. And a lot of people and a lot of men don't realize that. They on the same playing field as the wife.
Do you ever see men that want custody?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that. I love to see that. And like you said, that misconception of the black father, believe it or not, a lot of the black fathers do contact me for custody. I have more of them as clients than I do the others. And so, with that being said, yes, a lot of them do fight for custody. And I love that. And it's a lot of my black fathers that fight for
So, okay. As far as say you have the baby mama, baby daddy type thing, right?
custody.
Oh, I know we hate that.
Okay.
But they were never married.
Right.
So, as far as custody goes, say they decide, okay, we're going to split custody, but at the same time, who, how do you define who would pay child support in that situation? Do both parents pay, or does nobody pay because you have split custody?
So, split custody, it's, and I'm assuming what you're saying is you have a mom and dad who have never been married,
Mm-hmm.
and they're saying we want to do what we call true share custody, which is 50-50 physical custody,
Mm-hmm.
which can be a week on, week off, week with
Mm-hmm.
mom, week with dad. Is that the type of relationship you're
Yeah.
saying set up? Okay. When you have that particular schedule, the parties can agree that neither party pay child support because they have equal time with the child.
Good.
Normally, child support is set up because you have one parent that has the child majority of the time. And
Mm-hmm.
so obviously the court is saying, well, that particular parent has the child majority of the time, then obviously financially they're assisting with that child more so because that child is eating in their home more so. They're buying the clothing, they're using their utilities because
Okay.
there is a standard visitation schedule which normally comes into play, which is every other weekend. So that non-custodial parent who has that every other weekend, the court says, well, wait a minute, this person don't have him as much time as the other one. So we're going to make you pay child support. And
Okay.
that's how you do that. But when you have true share custody, yes, you can agree not to pay any child support because you have the child equal time. Or the court can do what they call split custody, which is when you take the child support amount, you do the calculations, you take both parents' income, and then you'll do it for as if each parent was to be paying support, and whatever that number comes out to be the difference, that parent could pay the difference in that. So to give you an example, let's say we do calculations for mom and her child support is 500. We do calculations for dad and his is 750. So you got that 250 difference. So dad being 750, he may then have to be entitled to pay 250 to mom because that's the difference. So yeah, you have different types of child support custody to be set up.
Okay, so yeah, most people don't understand how that goes either. They just kind of settle for what's decided. They don't know the formula. They don't know that it's numbers that you put in and
Right.
how it's calculated or anything like that. But when you think about child support being set up in the beginning, before we got about 10 minutes in this first hour. When it happens in the very beginning, that amount is set based on what's presented at that time, right?
That is correct.
So if I have a job and I'm making $5,000 a week at that time. That's what's calculated.
That is correct.
But then I get another job that only gives me $1,000 a week, and I'm still paying child support like I was making at
Mm,
5,000. And
mm.
what am I supposed to do?
At that time, we have what's called a petition for modification.
Hmm.
A petition for modification is when there's a particular change in circumstances from the last time the order was put in place by a judge. So, to give you an example, just specifically off that example, if you have a parent that was paying child support and their income was $5,000, and the court has entered an order on June 1, 2020, for that parent to pay X amount of dollars based on that income. But say on down the line, since that case has been closed, he's no longer making that. He's making that thousand, like she said.
Right.
You can then petition the court to say, well, hey, I need a modification. There has been a change in circumstances since the last time you put this order in place, i.e., my income is no longer the same. You
Right.
can do that for custody. You can do it for child support. You can do it. You can modify anything in the order with a petition for modification. But of course, you have to present that evidence to the court, and the court will determine whether modification is needed. But yes,
Like you,
absolutely.
I
Nothing is
wouldn't.
set
I
in
would
stone.
know that a modification is needed if I went from making 10,000 to 2,000. Like, I'm not going to continue to pay you what I was paying you, so I'm going to court. But I think what ends up happening is that I'm going to have to pay to get somebody to help me do this every time I come back.
That is correct.
That's the part.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah.
I can see men saying, you know what?
Forget it.
I just won't worry about it. I just keep thugging it out this way. Why? But
Like,
you
make
know,
it make
Yeah.
sense.
But here's the thing that they don't realize, a couple of things. The first one is, let's say that their income has changed and they're saying, well, look, I have to pay an attorney to come back to court every time to change this. One, you do not have to pay an attorney. You can represent yourself.
okay.
And I don't know why most people don't do that. And I tell people that call me, if they say, hey, Attorney Powell, I love you, but I can't afford you right now, I say, hey, go down there and file it yourself. And then get the lawyer on the back end if you have
We
to.
appreciate you.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
Right.
know,
Like, just
and
tell
that
me.
is
Don't just try to take my money. Tell me, girl, look, go
Right.
down here
And
and
you
file this
can,
paper.
you can go
Okay.
down there and file that yourself. And at that point, you have opened the case to get this going, to get it changed. And the court will, if you can ask the court to go back from the time that you filed that petition to change that child support amount, or to change that custody, or change whatever it is. So you want that date stamp on that petition. You want to file that change as soon as possible. And here's the other thing. You also don't want to say, well, I'm going to continue to pay this because I'm going to have to pay a lawyer to come back. But if you fall behind, now you're looking at a contempt where you could have filed that modification and asked the judge to change your child support dated back from whenever you filed that petition, even if you don't get in front of a judge for a year. It doesn't
It's
matter. They
about the
could,
date.
it's about the
Mhm.
date. And so you risk, and a lot of dads do that. They say, well, I can't afford it. I couldn't afford a lawyer. So then I came and, I didn't do anything. Now you're in contempt. And the judges don't want to hear it. And if
Right.
I'm representing the other side, I don't want to hear it.
What does that mean?
Now you're gonna pay
Right.
because you had options.
What does that
Right.
mean if I'm in contempt? What you talking about?
Okay, so child support contempt, I'm sorry, not modification, custody contempt. Any contempt is when you have an order that's in place and you fail to follow that order. Then the person who you were supposed to or had an obligation to can file with the court what's called a petition for rule nisi, which means it's a contempt petition. In essence, what that person is saying, hey, there was an order signed by a judge required this opposing person to do certain things. They failed to do it. So now the judge wants to know why you didn't follow my order. So now I may hold you in contempt. You're going to have to show this court why we should not lock you up, why you should not be paying attorney's fees, why we should not do X, Y, and Z, because you failed to follow an order that I signed and put in place.
Mm. Well,
I gotta.
okay.
Now, a
Um,
lot of men feel like this is like bouncing off of a comment that's on here saying that the majority of judges have already had the deck already stacked against most men. Think it's a game. So why do most men feel like the judges are already coming for them or already want them to fail before they even come in court in the first place?
I wouldn't say that the judges do that. What I would say is you see a pattern. They know what that pattern is. And most of the time, they see that it seems like it favors moms. So I won't necessarily say judges. So what I will say is, like I said earlier, it is a little bit more difficult for me to fight for my men clients. I have to do things differently. With my mom clients, let's say we're doing custody, with my mom clients, I can say she's the one that's responsible for feeding, bathing, taking to the doctor,
Mhm.
spending time, extracurricular activities. She does all that. She can say that on the stand and not have to present any evidence. Her testimony could be good enough. But when I have my male clients,
You want
I get
proof.
pictures. I
Mhm.
want I'm gonna show pictures of them with their child. I want
Receipts.
I'm all of the above. I want to show text messages where he's reached out. I'm gonna show pictures of his home where he has room. The
Hmm.
child's home, I mean the child's room is decorated. I'm gonna show where he's went to extracurricular activities, that he showed up. And see, a lot of people don't realize we have to do a little bit more as attorney. That's just me. I can't say for any other attorney. But I do all of that for my dads just to have somewhat of a fighting chance. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it works.
I can
I got it
imagine.
down pat.
All
Yeah.
And I
right.
have won custody for dads. Because there are some moms, and I'm not saying, but there are certain moms that go in, they're not ready for me to bring all of this. And
Yeah.
now I've convinced the judge that, whoa, so he
She ain't
is
all
doing
of that.
XYZ.
Yeah. She
Right.
ain't
He
all
oh,
that,
so he's
Judge.
trying to
Like,
take to the
yeah.
doctor, but you won't let him take to the doctor.
Right.
And so I try to level the playing field. But, I can't say it's the judges. I'm just saying it's a pattern. And normally it does seem like it favors the moms.
So you prepare for that.
I do. I do.
Okay.
I wanted,
And
I
I
guess
think
I wanted to dive into
oh
that a little bit more
Yeah.
because as I've tried to look for lawyers that represents dads around Birmingham area, they are very hard to find. But it seemed like there's a lot of lawyers that see, a custody battle for a woman as a home run type of situation. And so a lot of lawyers market to the women that, oh, we definitely can get you custody, blah, 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 blah. And I just wanted to ask about, I guess, the culture of your peers in that context. Like, why aren't there lawyers that look at just whatever client come? Because I had one group say that they don't represent men in that regard, and so like amongst your peers, do you see them going towards, representing women more than men? Because it seemed like there's a small group of women who, of female lawyers who will say, I represent this group. I will fight for you this hard. Do you see a dynamic in that? I mean, I know we talk about the judges, but like, what about your peers and the culture of that as far as this goes?
Well, I can't, of course, I'm quick to give this disclaimer. I can't speak for every attorney. Um, but what I will say is, I don't know if it's that the attorneys are saying I don't necessarily represent the men, but I do slightly agree with you. As attorneys, for us to stay in business and for us to be popular, in my opinion, we have to have a good track record. You don't want an attorney that's constantly losing or that has that reputation of not winning cases. So if you have this good track record of winning, and you say that there's a possibility that the moms in custody cases are slam dunk, then that's how they build that clientele because they're winning. And so, just like anybody else, they may not want that challenge. They may want that what they may consider
an
as an
easy
easy
win.
win. And if you have an easy win, that means you have a lot of wins under your belt as an attorney. Nobody wants to hire a lawyer that's not in court and that's not winning cases, right? And so that's what my thought process would be. But the difference between, I guess, them and me, I'm built a little differently. I feel like I got a slam dunk on either one because I know what I need to do to make this case work for me. And sometimes we already see in advance what cases may, go a certain way. And I tell my clients in advance, hey, these are the odds that stacked against us. This may or may not happen. So that they're not expecting a win, or it may not be as easy as what we think. So that could be why some lawyers don't take as many men clients because they may not be easy wins. And a lot of big wins means popular lawyer. Popular lawyer means more money. More money, you the man.
Mm.
So
Okay.
popularity doesn't necessarily mean you're a good attorney. That just means that you
I
win the popular
agree.
cases.
I agree.
You're not a good attorney. You just popular.
I agree. But unfortunately,
They don't
that's
see it like that.
that's what works. The popularity is
Yeah, it's like you basically loading the dice in the game of getting it because you just taking stuff that's easy, not really challenging yourself and providing services for people that's needed.
Hmm. And we see that in all fields where you hear the names, you think that, okay, well, yeah, so and so had them and they say they did, or whatever. No, do your research. So, right now, tonight, we're
right.
doing your research. We're giving you the end, the connect to, Attorney Adrienne Moffet Powell. And when we come back in our second hour, we are going to be talking about divorce. You ready? Y'all ready? Cause Soul be lying about that. We gonna talk about it. Y'all know I'm on one. We're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna talk about whatever else you all want to talk about as it is related to relationships, families, and divorce on this Father's Day, because we want our men to be well equipped. And if they ain't equipped, we'll get them equipped tonight. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back right here on B94.9 WATV.
Okay. I need to get your info.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna get a car because
Hey, everybody.
I'm one of them people.
We are
Who
on a
went
quick
down there and
radio
found
break,
everything on my own.
only about 2
Mm.
minutes. So make sure that you're about to get this
You
vital
know,
information,
yes,
because there are so
everybody
many
needs a
people who
lawyer.
holler about,
Everybody
I,
needs
I
a
need,
lawyer.
we
I
still
don't
married. We've
recommend
been
going
separated
anywhere
5 years. We
without
can't
a lawyer.
find nobody.
True.
I don't know how to do
But
it.
there
They
is
ain't gonna sign the
there are
papers. You about to
indigent
find out
families who
tonight.
can't
So
afford
you've been looking
lawyers
for that information
that can
tonight. You shall
still
get it,
do certain
courtesy
things
of
and
Vital.
can fight
All
for
right. So stay
themselves. Or at
locked.
least, like I tell them,
Share the
file it
information,
yourself.
you
You get the
guys.
lawyer
All right.
before you
Share
get
the
to trial, or
stream.
it's
Share
time
the
for the other lawyer
live.
to come in and fight.
Tell your
And
friends.
see, that's what
Be
I
right
think
back.
I might do. File a petition for modification. But right now, I'm dealing with modification.
I have our virtual studio back popping. Thanks, Eddie. So, for those of you who have been listening, we have discussed a few things, just kind of scratching the surface. There is so much to talk about when it comes to this. Hello to all of you who are on the live. Let me shout a couple of y'all out. Miss Dolores, hey, Ron, Lloyd, Lloyd, Vito, what up? Dion, hey, everybody. Please share the live. Share this information. Also on the other live, I see Regina. I see Jamil. He said share. What's up, Demetrius? What's up? Hey, Demetrius. Sophia, what's up? And Dion as well. So hello to everyone. Black is kind of navigating those comments on that page, and I'm looking at another stream. So we're in like 6 or 7 different places. So if you don't see your comment, or we don't see it and don't say it, you can definitely call in 994-8949. All right. Um, we're gonna do 5 minutes. Then we're gonna go to the top of the hour, and we're gonna continue the conversation then. So first 5 minutes of basically the second half of the show, divorce. Divorce. Doo-doo-doo. So people really feel a way about divorce and they don't, it's like, well, we got married and I now want to, they come up with all these different things and all these different thoughts about, I guess, what's going to happen and how it's going to happen, how much it's going to cost, who to call, what am I going to lose? Do I really want a divorce? Yeah, all types of stuff. What are some of the biggest things that you see when it comes to people making their way to you? Like we've been married, we've been together for 10 years, but we've been separated 7. Like
Ooh.
I know you hear that, but what are some of the other things that you hear when it comes to people finally making it in to get ready to end it all? 'Cause I'm over it.
So the biggest things that kind of come up or have people to come to me for divorces would be custody. Let's just be honest with everybody. That's the biggest thing.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is most of the time you'll have people to come to me for divorce because they're saying they can't co-parent anymore. It's just not working in the household. They may have separated and tried to do the co-parenting thing. It's not working. So let me go through an attorney and go ahead and get something on paper. Child support is the next biggest thing, that end up bringing people to me to say, hey, I'm ready to move forward on this divorce, meaning that they may have been in a household, one parent still is not helping, or they may have separated and they're not receiving financial assistance and they need something in writing. The last and final thing would be property. That's when you
Mm-hmm.
realize that you're in the home together. This is just not working anymore. And we need to figure out who's going to move, who's going to get this house, who's going to do this with the car. And so that would be the last thing I can think of as far as the biggest things that make people push the button on
I
divorces.
got you. You know what I hate to hear? We don't have anything together. No house, no children, no cars, no kid, nothing. We just been holding on. We just been holding on. Hmm.
Can we address that last comment?
Yeah.
Let me see.
I've been married for 26 years and separated for 22. And giving up my 401 and Social Security worked too hard.
Okay, Albert.
What? You know what? Well, address that. Like what? how do you get
Why,
around that?
Albert?
Like what?
Okay. So
2
here's the
minutes.
here's the first thing. I'm just go ahead and be realistic with them. They say sometimes it's cheaper to keep.
Yes.
So,
Mhm.
meaning that when you have a long-term marriage and you then file for divorce, there is that 50-50 spousal thing that's set up, marital property. So he is possibly looking at having to deal with 401ks being split, spousal support. Those are the biggest thing. Retirement,
In
all of that.
Alabama?
Oh yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
Albert.
Girl,
Next
We
comment.
are
Nope, nope,
limited
nope.
50-50.
property state.
We are 50
Yeah.
50. And the only way that percentage change is if we present to the court that there is some reason for that should be a different percentage. It could be, you know, 60-40, whatever, but we bring different elements to that.
All right. So look, we're gonna hold that. Hold it right there. Let's go to the top of the hour and jump right back into the conversation. It's vital right here on B949 WATV.
Ooh, divorce is like death, y'all.
Oh yeah, it's cheaper to keep
That's what
them.
I feel like.
You talking
But
26
I was on
years.
the other end
Mhm.
of the we gonna get it all from her
But if
instead
they've
of
been separated, which I couldn't remember how long, but if you've been married for 26 and separated for 20, what's on your mind? You have this look like I can tell your brain. Oh,
Are you
am I on this? I'm
are you
sorry.
married? Oh.
I'm sorry. Am I not on this? Oh, okay. Your brain was working. You had that look on your face.
The 90.9 WATV second hour of the hottest talk show in the city, Vital, right here, the longest running talk show in the city with, not just opinion but fact.
Period.
Okay, that's what we do. Okay, not just talking. We are actually, yeah, doing what we do. This is what we do. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being a part of the conversation on this great Father's Day. Um, I mean, big stuff coming in. You hear me? So, one time for everybody who got this stream sent to you directly and jumped right in and went ahead and shared it. Regina went to a good point. We're gonna come back to what we were talking about with Albert, but she says, "LOL. Remember those marriage vows for better or for worse, under for better. What that ain't what it say. What Regina? What it say? For better or worse, rich or poor, something, sickness and health." You can write your own vows. So maybe it is under for better. I don't know. But I get what she's saying. That is the vow that you make in marriage. You make this vow to work it out, work through it, stay in there. But I'm gonna just be real. I look, the goal is to stay together. The goal is to make the best decision before you enter that series of a relationship. Like, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to commit to for the rest of my life or the rest of my whatever. This is who I want to be my partner. This is the person that I trust to take care of me, the person that I trust to love me, the person that's not going to lie, be loyal, boom, boom, boom. So once you make those decisions, yeah, that's the goal. But sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes people just don't work out, and that's okay. And when it ain't okay, I'm sorry, but that's how life. Just honestly, that's how life happens. Sometimes you get it, and you just kind of you recognize this ain't it. This is just not it. And I care for you. You're a great person. Sometimes whatever the words are that you decide to use in your whatever, but we aren't good together in this marriage, and I want to be happy in my life. So therefore, I'm going to call Attorney Adrienne Moffet Powell, and we're going to get this thing going. And I promise, once we do it, we both are going to feel better. So if they want to call you, what's your number?
It's 205-332-3710.
All right, you got the number. Is there a website?
Yes. aplawoffice.net.
aplawoffice.net. All right. So if you want to go ahead and get the ball rolling on it or just get a consultation, you may just want more information. You may have tried to file yourself. And that's why I want to go as soon as we talk about what we were just addressing. So I know Eddie was saying something, Tiff, you had something, then y'all jumped on Albert. So just go where you want to go with it. Just jump back to what it
I forgot. I was gonna just say from personal experience, from filing for divorce myself,
hmm
I had to learn that your feelings don't matter in court. All they care
Mm.
about is the facts. I had to learn the hard way. Like, they don't care. They do not care about the feelings. Like, they don't. It's the facts only. So please always have your receipts, your evidence. If you are a male and you're paying somebody child support, stop paying in cash.
Hmm.
I tell my homeboys this all the time, but don't pay in cash. Also, if you're a male, why aren't more males going to put their cell phone child support?
Why aren't they or why are they?
Why aren't they?
Mm.
Because what I didn't understand is that, I guess, going through my divorce, like, we came up with our child support number. Even though it was calculations, we came up with it just based on both circumstances. And then when I moved out of state, it was just based on circumstance. But I see so many guys are like, I don't want to pay her child support. So you rather give money orders or cash for 200 here, 200 there,
Mhm.
when you could just get a set amount and pay that monthly.
Because a lot of times that I like, I'm speaking from sort of experience. A lot of times that just child support doesn't just stop with that, just $200 here or that, or just that set amount that the
Yeah,
court
that's not enough.
mandate. That's not okay. So what about extracurricular activities? Like, I spent
Right.
this $200. My baby got braces. All right, so now she want to be a cheerleader. So I
Right.
need help with that. Now she done grew out of her shoes. She needs some more shoes. So I gotta wait till
Right.
next month to do that. So I feel like, as adults, you should be able to come to a reasonable agreement. Like, okay, hey, we're gonna pay this a month, maybe. Or if I just call you and ask you for it, just, Be
Get it.
reasonable, or take the child with. Hey, come get them this weekend and take them to go do that.
But a big part of it is that a lot of people aren't reasonable. And that's why we have attorneys, because people aren't attorneys and counselors, people are not as reasonable as we would like for them to be. So when you just said you and your ex were able to come to a number, that's mind blowing to me, because I ask
Yeah.
people not to lie to me and they lie anyway and they don't have to. Like, you don't even have to, you're not even in a position to have to lie. Like, what you
Yeah.
lying for? So I'm really just happy about that. When so when you look at child support and how that went in my situation, I didn't know about the equation. I just trusted the attorney. And at the time the number was what it was. And I want to jump to this before we go any further. When it's said in the beginning and you know that the amount is just like a comfortable amount, it's not really like, oh, this is it, this is really what we need, but it's comfortable, and you don't modify or like you don't take them back because you know, like, at this point you're making more money and we need more help. That may not even be an attorney question. That may just be a woman question. Shouldn't they be happy about that
Yeah.
and do a little extra anyway?
Yeah, like I'm making, so like last year I was making 40,000. This year I'm making 60. So yeah, let me throw you some extra. Like,
Yeah.
appreciate that, baby daddy. But they don't do that.
No.
They don't. I won't say all of
Look at
them are
Eddie,
like
got his
that.
head hanging over to the side.
It is
Look, look. I mean, so from my upbringing with two divorced parents and hearing conversations they was having about child support, when I got in this career, I started looking up the origin of child support and spousal support.
Okay.
And the reality was that men in the past as breadwinners was leaving women high and dry so much that a whole society had to create a system that said this is how to keep women from being left high and dry. Where a woman might have been the housekeeper and this man found him a new trophy wife, and he could just he the CEO somewhere. He could just decide to go to the other side of town and leave them, and they have nothing. And she has no skills. She never worked, and she got to take care of a child on top of that. So a lot of men out there will do right if there is right to be done. But this system is supposed to speak to the men who need to be held accountable. And every single case I've been on, judges have always said, if y'all can come up with an agreement, we can strike out everything the court trying to do today. We don't have to do it. I've heard so many judges say that, but it's a situation where the adults can't adult right because emotions are involved. Like Tip was saying, like when emotions get involved, the people have this experience that won't allow them to come together like that. But I'm not an advocate of leaving a woman high and dry because I grew up with a woman that was kind of left high and dry. A part of that is because of the prison system, but I know what it feels like for a mom to be raising kids, not really know what to do, not having the money to do so, and to be working every hour of the day that take time away from spending intentional time with us. And so where's the balance? I think men today who have complaints of child support and spousal support and stuff, do you trust every man is going to do right for you to argue against a system like this existing?
So
Go ahead.
if I could, let me go in a different direction. I know earlier you all mentioned about if there's child support put in place and we or you all would know that dad is making more money, why isn't he, and there's not a modification saying that child support should increase, why isn't he doing XYZ? So here's the thing that I always discuss, just to kind of, like I said, go in a different direction. If there is a mom that comes to me and she tells me that dad has been doing all of these things, by the time I have an idea of her income and his income, but she tells me dad has been doing all of this without a child support order in place. I don't normally, I say, well, let's think before we put him on child support. And a lot,
Right.
so this is my kind of attacking the moms. It is Father's Day.
Right.
It's Father's
Sure
Day.
is.
So a little bit, I'm gonna have to attack the moms a little bit on this one. There are cases where they will put a dad on child support. They are only obligated to that amount that they're ordered to pay. So you have to be very careful.
'Cause you
put
might
him on
lose out.
right. You put him on
Right.
child support.
He's stuck
You're getting
there.
$500, and before that he was paying, because you're not required to pay extra correct extracurricular activities. He only has
Mm.
to pay their child support, and that's it. And that's what the
Right.
court is going to
Get it
order.
out the mud, sis.
And so now he's been paying $1,000 for football every month, or and then
Or
some
dance or
now.
dance,
whatever.
and he's putting out way more. And you want to be vindictive or feel like, oh, I should get more, and you get these numbers at $500, you've lost. And so I'll tell some of my mom clients that, hey, let's be smart. Give me an idea what those numbers are. Let me try to run them and see, do we want to leave that alone, or are we gonna get 1,500 instead of that thousand? Then I'm gonna take it to court.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, you have to think about that.
It's a thing of integrity too. I mean, if we're already having issues or we're already in a position to where we are having to go legal anyway, I just, I don't know how easy it is for most people to deal with these situations where it's just so nice. Hey, you know what? Well, if you just send me the money order, or either I'll pick it up, I'll meet you halfway. I just don't know. I don't hear
Yeah.
the conversations.
It's
I
not
don't hear it
often.
going that way,
It's
right?
not often.
So that's why these conversations are necessary so that you can prepare. And I think that's a big part of what happens with our families. We don't prepare for family; it just kind of happens. And then by the time it happens, you don't know. I don't even like you no more. Here we are with children and stuff, and I don't even like you. You suck, you lie, you cheat, you steal.
You
Yeah.
don't cut the grass. I mean, just a bunch of stuff.
And you got all the
Yes.
lawnmowers in the world. Yay. Okay. So, happy Father's Day. Father's Day. Okay. Well, so, with all that being said, I want to get your comments and your questions. The phone lines are open 994-8949, 994-8949. Got a comment from Miss Deborah that says, hands down, she is the best in the state. She'll explain your situation very well. Hey, Attorney Powell. Maurice says, some can't see the forest for the trees. What I say, what you say. And then Deborah came back and shouted out extra beauty and brains. I would just assume you're talking about everybody in the studio.
All right.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
right?
you.
Okay, so yeah, the phone lines are open. I'm getting some messages here about. Here we are. Let's go straight to the phone lines. Caller, you are in with Vital on this Father's Day. What's your question, your comment, or your thought?
Hey, Lady Wu, this is Brother D here. I have a question. Hey there, guest, and happy Father's Day to the guest fellow that's sitting there.
That's Eddie.
All
Hey,
right.
he's a great
Yeah.
father figure. All right, what you got, D?
Look, okay, I do believe, and I'm gonna end with a question that I think it's two sides to this child support. I think you have one that you do have deadbeats, and my thing is if you working, you ain't taking care of your kids and stuff like that. You definitely a deadbeat. For the ones who are working and trying to do right and take care of the kids, and the baby mama might be bitter
Mm-hmm.
because hurt people do hurt people, and because she bitter. For instance, like if she was the, we would talk about the system, how the system plays a part in the division on people like that. There's, you trying to compromise, but she might be bitter because you got a new lady or whatever, and you trying to compromise, but she ain't willing because she bitter. So she goes and try to you working at the steel plant, say UAB, and
Uh-huh.
okay,
Uh-huh.
so
Go
she go
ahead.
so she go back down to the child support office, and what they talking about, and try to get more money. So she was getting $500 a month. So now they come up with the decision. Okay, we're gonna give her a little bit more. So we like, so save him in default. So now he goes to jail, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he in jail. He done lost his steel plant job or his UAB job. So he's sitting in jail, and the state is making money because they get so much money off inmates.
Okay.
And she walk out the courtroom like she the one. So now she ain't getting nothing, and the kids ain't getting nothing. So the question is, why are some women like that? And I hang up and just listen to you guys.
All right, D. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So that was a long one.
Yeah,
But
I'm not even sure if it was a legal question. He actually just said, "Wow,
Why are
women
women like
like that."
well, let's talk about it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this.
Because y'all like that. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say this. Y'all, okay, this gonna sound kind of contradicting myself, but I'm against child support.
Okay.
Because growing up, my father was not in the home,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed that most of the arguments was about that,
Okay.
and I didn't like it. So I always said that when I got older, I wouldn't be in the system, and I really tried to avoid that.
Business.
Yeah, I really tried to avoid that, but it happened anyway. But I will say that we did sit in front of a counselor. That's how we came up with that number. So before we even went through the divorce, we talked about other things that was going in a divorce in front of a counselor to try to get that. But I think that women get mad, and we've been taught like the first thing to do, go put them on child support.
Right.
And it's like people don't realize the effects of that long term when a child gets older. Like in my case, when I turned 18, I think that the order was in for my dad to pay once I was still in college. So it was kind of like my mom was like, it's up to you now to talk to your dad about that. I didn't do that.
Like,
All right, lady,
Let
I
me
ain't trying to do all
counsel
that.
well,
it
we
at
already
that
been
point.
arguing about it, right?
We just got rid of it at that point. But
Okay.
it's just like it's I feel like it's long-term effects that the mothers don't see when it comes to child support. And when you're or like I hear certain moms saying it to the kids, like, oh, you ain't getting that, your dad ain't pay this month.
Right.
Y'all, we gotta stop.
Right.
I don't like
Because
I don't like
kids do not know anything
Right.
about that. It's always two sides to every story. And speaking of like Father's Day and absent fathers and all that stuff, some kids, like, and I'm gonna say over the age of 12, because kids getting older now, most kids don't even realize their dads may not be around because of stuff like that.
And because of their
Right.
mama.
Right.
Like you're
So
bitter and
you
you're
gotta
angry and I don't
find
want to deal
out
with you.
before you are counseling this guy,
Mhm.
find out why is he not even present, because some men are ashamed, like if they don't have a job to pay, oh, I'll just disappear, I'm ashamed.
Yeah.
Or some men are like, okay, well, I'm gonna play the game you playing, I'm gonna just disappear, you being petty, I'm being petty. But I don't, that's one of
And
the
who
reasons why.
loses? The children.
Exactly, that's one of the reasons why I don't like child support as a system. Like, if you were able to lay down with the person and have the kids, why can't you pick up the phone and say, "Hey, we not working out. Okay, you making this much a month. I'm making this much a month. The tuition is this month. Okay, let's say tuition is. I'm just speaking if your kids are in school, private school, extracurricular activities, 400 a month.
That's
Let's
about
split
it.
it.
Yeah.
That's
That
easy.
makes sense. Yeah.
It
Why
should
do why
be.
do you need to tell this guy what your power bill is, what your rent is? I'm just being honest. Y'all decide to break up. If if the kid go to a city school and rent is 800 a month,
Mhm.
then okay, pay. Okay, I'll give you 400 on it. I just don't understand why, as adults, we can't just sit down and come up with a number. Why are we out to get people for blood for their whole life? I just don't understand it.
Well, let you do that.
I 100% agree with you. I am all for mediation. I am all for co-parenting. I have people contact me about divorces, and I have said, "Well, won't you think about it?" And
Mm.
and I'm just being honest. I
Yeah.
say because at the end of the day, God blesses me. I'm gonna eat regardless whether you hire me or not.
Right.
So what I mean by that is I don't force or push divorces. They call us counselors as attorneys for a reason because we do get that opportunity to do that. We are also mediators.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of co-parenting. I love the idea, like you said. I'm not against child support because your situation or the one you're talking about, it's not that
Yeah,
often,
not
it's
for
not that
everybody. Yeah,
common.
I
Ideal.
understand.
Right.
Not for
But
yeah.
I do like the idea of that is cheaper because you don't necessarily want to pay lawyers to fix something you can fix yourself.
Mhm.
Also, you don't really want everybody in your business. And do you really want a judge to make a decision on you, your family, and your situation? I love the idea of them trying to come together, come
Yeah.
up with a number, come up with a co parenting setup, and leave the lawyers out of it. But it
Okay.
doesn't happen often.
All right. Let's jump to the phone lines right quick. We have two callers on hold. I'm coming to the first one right now. Caller, you are in with Vital on V949 WATV. Turn your radio down, listen through your phone, and go ahead.
I guess I just had more of a comment.
Okay. Turn your radio down.
I just had more of a comment. From a biblical standpoint, I can understand why some people disagree with, a divorce. However, I think that as a community, we fall short with not recognizing that divorce is a part of the world that we live in. And just like with insurance policies, a lot of us, we don't like to prepare. And
Right.
these are uncomfortable conversations that need to be had, whether or not we want to accept it. So instead of, avoiding the conversation and saying what shouldn't be, or, we need to have conversations to prepare our children because at the end of the day, child support is a necessity,
Right.
Right.
you know, and property has to be split. So let's bring the courts in so it can be done in decency and orderly. So that's my take on it.
I
Thank you so
like it.
much for that.
I agree.
Caller, you are in with Vital. What's your question, comment, your thoughts, your feelings? What you got?
I got a question.
Okay.
So I know Alabama law states that you automatically have custody of the child. So the mother, I guess, will automatically have custody of the child. My question is, what do I do to get that in writing? So my daughter's 15. We go out of the country a lot, but every time we go out of the country, I have to get him to sign a notarized letter saying, hey, she has permission to take her out the country, which he doesn't do anything. He doesn't pay child support. He now lives out of state. So I actually have to meet him to get a notarized letter
Oh, wow.
saying that I need to take him, be able to take her out of the country when I
Mhm.
know I have legal custody of her. We just never went to court about it. So that's why I was just trying to see what are my options.
And
Okay.
So I
okay.
just,
Don't you can stay on just in case she has some questions.
Okay. And I'm assuming you're saying that you all are, they're not married. That would be my thought
we
process.
were never married. No.
Okay, all right. So if you were never married and he never petitioned the court or you never petitioned the court for custody, paternity to be established, adjudicating him the legal dad, what that means is he would then have those rights. But if you never did that, then yes, you are the sole physical legal custodian of that child. However, if it comes to him signing documents to take this child out of the country, more than likely, and I could be wrong, do you not have him on a birth certificate or something of that nature?
He's on the birth certificate.
Then that's
That's the
where it
only thing.
is. Then that's where it
Yeah.
is. Because you have him on the birth certificate. That's why it's a requirement. You have him listed on that birth certificate. So therefore, it's a requirement to get permission to take him out of the country. You are correct. That does not change your legal rights, but it does affect that part of it. But everything else, you are the sole decision maker as it relates to that child in state.
I ain't
Okay.
ever heard nothing like that in my life. I
I
take mine
So how
as
do I
I
get her?
please.
But I'm
I
assuming
How
she's
do
talking passports and
yeah.
things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
That's
she
my
that's
has her
passport
passport?
rule.
my
Okay.
Yeah,
decision making
she has her
everything.
passport. But
Yeah.
when we go to like on like say for example a cruise,
Mhm.
I have to take that paper with me because they may ask for it. The cruise line told me they may ask for it. So that's why I'm trying to see what legal document can I get so I won't have to keep getting this notarized letter and having to meet him at the state line.
so that's their requirements. And so what you're dealing with is not a custodial thing. You're dealing with what their requirements are for passports, what their requirements are to get on this cruise. It's
Okay.
not an Alabama requirement saying, hey, he has to sign something. We don't have a law that says he has to sign something every time. But whatever requirements that they're asking of you, that's why you're having to have that piece of paper. Like I said,
Right.
passports and things like that. Does
I
that make
it
I
ma-
s-
it does
Yeah.
make sense because I'm just thinking about like when you apply for a passport, you have to turn in your birth certificate, your license, and things
right.
like that. So if you're taking a child out and the other parent is not going, maybe, or you all aren't married or whatever, are you trying to run away with the child from the other
Right.
So
parent?
that's the passport. That's
You
their
know?
requirements,
Yeah.
not at statute state of Alabama requirements. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once you put him on that birth certificate, that's why you're gonna have to meet those requirements through
That's why I don't have that problem.
them.
Not gonna
Well,
put you on. Not gonna put you on there. Happy Father's Day.
Boom.
I have a question. Miss Adrian, can you answer
Mhm.
this question?
Sure.
It's I think a lot of people want to know. And I just thought about what she asked. When you okay, let's say you got two parents. One is in Alabama, one is in Florida.
Mhm.
Um, let's say the father moves to Florida and you have to, and let's say the other parent moves somewhere else.
Okay.
Which state has jurisdiction if you need to file for child support or a
It's
modification?
based on how long you've been living. So 6 months is
Hmm.
Alabama requirement. I can't speak on other states, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty much the same. So
Okay.
you're considered to be a resident in the state of Alabama if you have been residing here at least 6 months prior to filing your case.
Okay.
Okay. Caller, hey there. You're in with Vital right
Hey,
here.
baby girl.
Oh goodness. Hey boo. How you doing?
What's going on, lucky lady? Well,
All is well. How you been?
Keisha Ellis' birthday was on last week.
Did you tell her happy birthday?
Yeah, how Deanna doing?
I just saw Deanna yesterday. Deanna is doing amazing. It's so good to hear from you, Mr. Madison. It's been a minute too. Look at Eddie. It's been a minute, ain't it, Eddie? Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So
it's definitely been a minute.
good to hear from you, James Madison. All right, guys. So the phone lines are still open 994-8949, 994-8949. For those of you who are viewing on social media, you can post your comments in the comments and we'll see them, especially if you're on the Vital Show page. I have that one pulled up right now. And then um, there's another one that we're getting some streams from. I'm not sure which one that is, but we see some other comments as well. But if your comment is not read and you have a question, you have something that you need to know, call in. Like this is an opportunity for you to get some information that may change your life, and that's what this is about. Don't be in no
Comment
bad situations.
comment from Regina Lavender. I don't think a male should be jailed for non-payment of child support. Been married since age 21, happy. I will say that there are some women who will do stuff like that just to be vindictive.
Hmm.
I have an aunt who took, well, her child is 40s, took her child's father to court for child support and threw him in jail. This man like 70. Why are you throwing him in jail for non-payment of child support and your child 40 something? It's really crazy to me. I'll never, like, she ain't my blood auntie, is an auntie by marriage, but lady, that's low down. You
How
don't
how
have
does
to
that
do
even
that.
Let me
happen?
correct. I'm gonna correct that comment. They're not being jailed for not paying child support. They're being jailed for not following a court's order.
For back
To
child support or
no,
just the court order.
there's a court order. So for clarification, they're not being jailed for not paying child support. You can be jailed for anything that's in that order that you did not follow.
Hmm.
They're being jailed because child support was a part of that order. They did not follow that order. So it's a possibility of jail time. Let's say the order says that you're supposed to pay half of the dental expenses and you don't pay half of the dental expenses. They can be jailed because that's in the order. You didn't follow the order. Let's say you're not supposed to have overnight guests of the opposite sex at a certain time in your order.
Stay
For
out my
real?
business.
Yes, ma'am.
Stay out
So
my
let's say
business.
you did not follow that, and the other side realized that you have overnight guests at a certain time that has not left, and it's a part of your order. You can be jailed for that. So it's not specific to child support. It's not following a court's order, and you're not always jailed in those cases. You have to show the court that that your intentions was malicious or willful, far as you not following that court's order. As it relates to child support, they also have to show that they did not have the ability to pay. You're not
Mhm.
automatically jailed for that. That's what people get it incorrect.
Okay, but like I'm the part that I think got me the most. I don't care if you went to jail or not. The child 40, so that's no
Right,
longer a
like-
child.
Right.
So that means you got to deal with mom for taking him back. But
Exactly.
but
right.
there's
You
an
do that.
order. But here's how you look at that. Let's look at it like this. Before that kid turned 40, mom obviously was financially taking care of this child when dad
Okay.
wasn't following that order when he was a minor. So because she chose to take him back
Run
to
me my
court
money.
for 40, there's a time frame when that child wasn't 40. You wasn't helping me. So there's a
Mm.
contempt case, and I'm gonna bring it.
I just ain't that low down. I just not.
Well,
Like,
do you think it's low down if I saw this happen? A child is 30s now. Father files for disability, gets taken for bad child support.
Mm.
That's possible, right?
Yes.
Is that low down? If his disability is taken
I mean,
for bad child support and it goes to the mom, I would hope that the mom gives it to the
Yeah,
child.
yeah.
But
The
in
child
this case,
30 did not
in this
give it
case,
to-
this lady didn't.
bro, you know
But
they're not.
I'm just
But
saying.
you have to consider prior to that person, that child being 30. What was dad doing when there was a court order for him to follow? And mom didn't take him to court then. And mom was the one that was assisting this child financially, and dad was doing nothing. Bills still had to be paid prior to that. So now he's 30 and she decides to take him. Yeah, it may seem a little petty, but there was a time that he had an obligation. Dad did not fulfill that obligation.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Karma.
I get that. I was watching Housewives of Atlanta,
Retrograde.
And there's still
and
a court order.
yeah, I was watching
You should
Housewives
have
of
followed
Atlanta,
it.
and Candy and her daughter were talking, and she was like, "Well, Riley, you don't have to. Like, we've been fine. Like, yeah, your dad didn't
Oh,
pay child support, but yeah, we've been fine. Like, we balling out here. Like, you don't need that." And Riley was just said, "Oh no, I want my money."
Oh
Because
no.
Riley is 18, so Riley wanted to take her daddy back to court for her child support. Like,
right.
you ain't got to do that, Riley.
And like I said, it's
You
correct.
good. Your mama is
They don't
Candy.
have to
You're
take them
good.
back to court. They do not have to take them back to court. The only way you're in contempt if it's brought before the court, meaning that they can go forever not pay. Your mom doesn't go back and say, "Hey, there's a contempt issue." The court doesn't even know there's a contempt issue.
Okay. So like you mean when it comes to like back child support and things like that, like if it's not reported, it's
That's
I
correct.
mean it is what it is.
Yeah. Doesn't mean
Really?
that they're not in contempt. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that that obligation is not
That just means
there.
it's not a
It
big
just means
deal.
no, it's a
It
big
doesn't mean
deal
that
to the
either.
court.
Yeah.
It just means that that particular mom did not pursue that. The only way a judge is not keeping up with every order in the state of Alabama
Right.
in their jurisdiction. So unless that mom decides to bring that before the judge through a petition to make the court aware that there is a case that this person has not been following that obligation, they would be none the wiser. So if a mom never take the dad back to court, or dad never take a mom back, there are moms that pay child support,
Mm-hmm.
or dad never takes a mom back to court about non-payment of child support, they would not be in contempt. Not that the order goes away, but they're not having to answer to a judge of why they're not paying or did not pay and looking at possibility of jail time.
Could you?
And I guess the question of whether it's low down or not depends on if that person was holding this moment as leverage for a time when they could use it, versus, they talked to a lawyer like Miss Powell and was like found out that they could after their child turned 18 and then did it. I guess it being low down is just a based on whether that person knew what they was doing and they was holding it for a moment where that person was vulnerable and they can throw it at them, or not. From the mental health perspective of this conversation, it's just hard to. I mean, I know all these things are immediate in terms of finding out what to do with the kids and what to do with money, but like people are in such vulnerable positions to be making such critical decisions. Is like I wish I've been in courts where I would wish this judge would send them to me for 8 weeks first before they made this decision, and based on pettiness and anger and frustration, because it's some stuff that's going to be written in a court order that is going to be real hard for some parties to swallow, and that's not going to be beneficial to the child necessarily,
Right.
because everybody right now is mad, you know.
I mean, in most situations like that, people are coming to court bitter and mad and want to get back at the other person, whether it's because they moved on in a relationship, or
Mm-hmm.
it's because, well, you cheated on me, so that's why we're here, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case may be. So, like, if you're going for the good of the child, fine. But if you're going just to be just vindictive, then you need to see somebody, sit on somebody's sofa and talk it out.
I have several questions. These are good points. I have several questions that have come in. One, at what age does child support end?
19.
19, so not 18.
No,
Even with college.
that's over. That was called
Really?
post minority support.
Okay.
We no longer in the state
But
of
it
Alabama.
did exist
It
before.
did, and I
Okay.
cannot remember the exact year that that law changed. Maybe 2012.
So a
Okay.
while ago.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
We had in the state of Alabama was called post minority support, which of course, like you said, if they went into college,
Mhm.
reserve that issue, and you would have to petition the court to have that child support to extend into college.
Mhm.
We do not do that in the state of Alabama anymore. It's now considered to be unconstitutional. So the age is
Wow.
They
19.
grown.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
That is
19.
correct.
All right, so that was the first question. The second question was about back child support. So if the child turns 19, or we'll go with that part first.
Okay.
Child does turn 19 and there is back child support. So at the current time you're paying, but there's still a lot of money back here. What happens with those back child support payments?
It doesn't go away.
Okay.
We don't zero out at an age time. You will forever
That'll always
go.
be there.
Yeah, it doesn't zero out. It doesn't go away.
Does it
So,
affect anything?
oh yeah, license. DHR has the ability. They have a statute that allows them to freeze accounts, put liens on property. As private attorneys, we do not.
Wow.
We take taxes, and so a lot of times, I'm just be honest. when I hear that a parent, and I'm gonna say mom or dad because both, are parents and have obligation with child support. Sometimes I say it doesn't hurt to go through DHR for assistance
Yeah.
for them opening up a contempt case because they have the ability that we do not have as private attorneys. And you can still hire a private
Mm-hmm.
attorney
Mm-hmm.
to represent you along with DHR being a part of the case. And if
Okay.
you have that long standing arrears of non payment of child support, they have statutes that allow them to take your license, freeze accounts, liens on property, like I said, taxes, the
They
whole
put on
nine.
your credit too.
Yes,
They
they
put
did.
on your
Yes, they
credit.
do. They
Yeah.
put it on your
Ah.
credit as well.
But
But
that
you
I
pays.
got
have
a
to also have filed for child
Got you
support
next,
in
Eddie.
order to get back child
Right.
support, right?
This is back child support is arrears that have already been put in place, meaning there was an order that you were required to follow. You did not
Mm-hmm.
follow that order by paying, and it doesn't go away. It just sits and deals and deals. So every month you're owing, and that amount accrues. And so at that point, where a lot of people think just because they're not going to court about it, it goes away, it doesn't go away. And then at some point, whenever, whether it's through DHR or private attorney, you pursue that back support, you're going to have this lump sum and everybody's going to come after you.
Hmm. All right.
I got a question
Go ahead, Eddie.
Okay.
that may have a potential follow up.
Okay.
Let's say two parents angry at the beginning and they go to court. They got a young child and child support goes together. Let's say 5 years down the line, they become real cool and they want to squash that court stuff. Like, is it possible that they can come together and tell the courts we don't need this anymore? Or once the court put in an order for 18 years, you got to stick with that order for.
You can file, there is never an order that cannot be changed. You can file a modification 1,000 times. So that would be a modification. They will go back and ask the court to modify their original order where that child support obligation was in effect. Now, I will say this, courts do not like the idea of just simply saying parent does not have to pay child support because child support is not for the parent, it's for the child. And sometimes you will have what's called garnet litems, which are attorneys that represent the child to come in and fight
Mm-hmm.
against a termination of a child support obligation because they said that's for my client, it's not for mom or dad. So if there are parents that want to stop that child support payment, what they would need to do is go in through the court and have an agreement to say there's going to be extracurricular that they may assist with, or they're going to have this shared custody. They're going to do something in additional to what they were doing before, because there are standards that allow us to deviate from the child support guidelines calculations. And it is exceeding the standard visitation schedule, travel expenses, deciding to split extracurricular activities, things of that nature, because they're not obligated to split extracurricular. And so that will allow the court to terminate child support obligations.
So,
All right.
follow up question. So,
Okay.
let's say in the scenario that, okay, you got a 30-year-old that
Yeah,
the
everybody
child is
hurt.
30 years
Right.
old. The child is 30 years old. And the mom has said, look, we ain't got to worry about this. The child say, look, I don't care about that money. And the dad clearly will be okay with it. Or the mom, whoever's not paying the child support in this situation, they all say, okay, we want to squash the back child support. We don't want this to impact the other parent's license and all of these things that impact. We want to squash that. Is that something that can be squashed now? Or because
Absolutely.
it's so back in the system that nothing can be done?
No, absolutely. Again, that goes to you have two options. You can do it through a modification. And what they can
Mhm.
do is they can go before a judge by agreement and say, hey, that obligation that was out there, he's paid it through whatever. It could be through a car or said that obligation was actually paid to them in other ways, cash, gifts, things like that. And normally in the state of Alabama, we do not take into consideration gifts as a form of child support payment. But if you have, and it's not the child that it matters, it would have to be the custodial parent, whoever was receiving the child support. So
Mm.
if you get that mom or that dad that goes into the court through a modification and by agreement say, I no longer want to deal with the arrears. I can zero him out because he's did X, Y, Z. He owes me nothing. And they will zero him out saying he owes nothing or she owes
All right.
There's someone in the comments that is asking a question about, do females still claim common law marriage in Alabama, in family court in Alabama? But common law marriage has been out the window
Yeah,
in
common law
Alabama.
marriage, we're not doing that anymore.
I didn't
However,
think
and I
so.
can't remember the exact date, But if you can show the court that you were in a common law marriage prior to the time that we stopped it in the state of Alabama, then we will recognize it. Anything
2016?
outside of that, then no, we do not. So yeah, it's
Right.
either, and I can't remember the date. Please forgive me. It may be 16 or 17,
We
somewhere in there.
we talked. I remember having a show where we discussed it like the year that it ended. I want to say it was 16.
Okay.
To the phone lines, caller, you're in with Vital on B949 WATV. Question, comment, thoughts, feelings.
Yes, I got a question. Would a court make you play spouse support and child support?
Spousal,
Yes.
spousal and child.
Yes.
Yes. That was the only question. That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
You sure?
Like, I really
Yeah.
did not know that Alabama had spousal support. I did not. I thought
Why
it was
not?
like something. I don't know.
It's also called alimony. Most people don't
Yeah.
realize that's the same thing. So alimony and spousal support's the same thing.
I did not.
But based
know
on what
that.
though? So like,
Yeah, how do you get that?
It
right?
depends. We look at several different things. Now, this is not related to family law. This is related to, when I say family law, I mean family court, people that have not been married. This is related to marriages. And so the court takes a lot of different things into consideration. It's the how long they've been married, even though we're not necessarily recognizing the 10-year mark anymore, but we were at one point, and most judges still take it into consideration, but it's not set in stone. But they look at how long the marriage has been going on. They
Mhm.
look at each party's educational background. They look at if we have like a stay-at-home mom. We look at who's responsible for the breakdown of the marriage. They look at the ability to earn income. They look at if you have the ability to pay spousal support. So those are the things that they take into consideration when ordering spousal support or alimony.
All right. Oh, we got another phone call. I'm gonna come to the phone lines in just a second, but well, he may have a question about this. Then we'll go to the next topic. Caller, you're in with Vital on B949 WATV. What's your question, comment, thoughts, feelings?
Well, I just tuned in. It sounds like we're talking about attorneys and court.
We are.
um, yes, I wanted to know. Like, I had this car, and I was 21 years old, and I didn't know what I was doing. When you're 21, you don't know what you're doing, what you're signing up for.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this company called Santander, and yes, I fell behind, but I still pay. And it's like they came and repossessed the car back in 2018. Like, I was supposed to be done paying with it, so I paid it off like 6 times with this high interest rate.
Yeah.
And then they trying to charge me with $7,000. Now I did the research. To make a long story short, they only did a civil lawsuit because they was putting people in what is called a balloon loan. And it was like, well, why I don't qualify for it? Because I'm like, they took the car, only sold it $1,500, and I gotta pay $7,000, and I don't even have the car no more.
Wow.
Like, is that right, or is that something that I can do? Because I'm really going through it right now.
All right. Thank you for listening and calling in. That sound. I mean, I don't know if that's family related or not, but it sounds really messed up.
It does, but I'm not going to give that legal advice on
Yeah.
that because that's not me. I do the family law, which is the divorce, custody, child support, adoption. But I would definitely suggest you reach out to a civil attorney.
Yeah. So if you're just tuning in, just getting in your car, just popping on the app. This is the Abby Award-winning Vital Show with attorney Adrienne Moffet Powell in studio. Family law is what we're discussing on Father's Day to make sure that men are well equipped and then that people, period, are well equipped with some basic knowledge of where they may be in life right now, be it custody, child support, divorce, alimony. I saw something earlier today about the founder of, dang, I want to say Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
I think it was Dunkin'. I'll share it when I find it. But his ex is suing him for revenge porn, for putting out revenge porn. And I think that's family related, kind of,
It's
sort of.
really criminal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
a crime,
I
huh?
looked that up
Yeah.
3 years ago,
That's-
boo.
that's
Sure you did.
criminal.
I indeed.
So that's criminal.
Right.
Okay.
Somebody
Well,
tried it,
yeah, I just
girl.
thought it was kind of family because like we used to be together. Then you got mad. Then you put out something that we did when we were together. Like that's petty, but not only
You a
that, but it's
pawn.
criminal.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
You can go to
Good to
jail
know.
for that and have large fines for
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so I saw that one. I also saw where Nick Cannon just had a new set of twins,
Wow.
but
You
then
need to get fixed.
his new girlfriend also posted a picture on Instagram saying that they were expecting a child. So he
Yeah.
just had the twins this week, and he also has another baby on the way. Then he has the babies with
Mariah.
Mariah Carey, so he has like 7 on the way,
Okay.
or seven children. And there was a
Like
question.
2 of them wilding out girls.
Two of the girls that are the baby mamas?
Yeah.
The children's
Oh, I
mothers?
didn't know
Yeah.
that.
I didn't know that either. But I bring that up because when you think about family law and like how people's pockets are spread over all of these different children to all of these different women with all of these different orders, when I guess it depend on how you go about getting your orders, what's in
It
them.
does.
So if I just go to court because I'm not married to any of y'all, we just got babies together, and I just end up on child support, like how does that happen, or like how was that even managed?
So in his situation, he would have and I hate to say it like a first come first serve because
I thought
that's
it was
not
like that.
necessarily how it goes, but somewhat. And so what that means is whichever parent places him on child support first, and there's a child support order for him to pay for that particular child. And
Hmm.
let's just say mom number two comes in, puts him on child support, and his income is pretty much the same because, like you said, he's having these back to back. So let's
Baby.
say his income is the same. If he's paying $500 for that first child, and his income, I know it's not, of course, but let's just say it's $2,000. When baby number two comes in, they're going to have his income at 1,500. He gets
So
a
she'll get
credit
less.
for that child support that he pays that's already in effect. And then
Mm.
it just kind of goes order after order after order. He gets a credit for each child that he's paying
Damn.
support for. So sometimes the last mom, if
Wow.
he's at that same income, mom number four may be getting less simply
$70.
because he's
Because I'm number
paying
four.
so much more from other
Baby.
orders and getting credit for it.
Let me.
But he has to be paying it.
Can
But
I?
if his income is more, she could be getting more. Let's just say it was 2,000 for
The
number
first
one,
child.
but then number four comes in and he's now making 10. That little credit that he's getting, he still gets a credit, but her child support may be more because his income is higher now.
Let
Mm.
me ask something
Hmm.
because it's funny you said that because I went through that. Question: what if uh we think of three baby moms? The
Okay.
first baby mom had her order. Ah. Second baby mom got her order. He got the credit for the first.
Hmm.
Third baby mom comes in, puts him on child support. But what if third baby mom's order is done and they didn't know about second baby mom?
He can file a modification.
But
He gets a
okay,
credit. So I'm assuming
so
you're
he
saying
would need to file the modification.
yes, because she shouldn't care. So,
But what
Like
if he not
in
paying
real
second
life.
but
baby
you
mom?
see, the reason
What if
I
he not
say
paying second baby mom?
he only gets credit for the orders he's truly paying the support on. So he can have an order in effect, and if he's not paying it, he doesn't get credit for it.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you say that child number three
Came along.
came along and they did not give him credit, she should not care because guess what? That made his income still higher.
Oh
When
yeah.
you get credit, it makes his income lower. He
Mm.
should care because he is the one that did not get that credit. So he should be
Mm.
filing a modification or he should be filing a motion to set aside that order because we do post that's getting into civil stuff.
Yeah.
Well, let me start off. It's not civil, but it's a little bit past what we need to talk about to answer the
Right,
question.
right.
But yes, he would need to file the proper filings to have that corrected. It doesn't have to be a modification, it can be appeals.
And the reason that we're doing the show is because we've learned that
Judicial motions.
typically
Gotcha.
they're not filing. Like it's just kind of I'm gonna
Right. They
just
not.
figure it out. So let's go to the phone lines. Caller, you're in with Vital. Turn your radio down, please. Listen through your phone and go ahead with your question or comment.
Good evening.
Hello.
Yes, I'm calling to ask. So my husband was cheating on me, right?
Yeah.
And he had a baby on me, but we're
Mm.
getting a divorce. Um, what happens with like? Can I be granted a paternity test before the divorce so I can get spousal support?
So let me make sure I understand. You're married, your husband has a baby with a girlfriend, we'll just say.
Mm.
You're asking, can you do the paternity test?
Yes.
Okay, technically, no. You don't have standing in that divorce case to order a paternity test to be done by his girlfriend and him. But if that is the situation and you know of that, yes, it needs to be brought into your divorce case because that helps with the adultery issue, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you want to use that to deal with property and other things that you may want to ask for, attorney's fees to be paid, and things of that nature. But you don't have standing through your divorce to force him to have a paternity test done on someone else's child. But if you find out that he has one done, your attorney, if you had one, would just simply get that order from that case and bring it into your divorce case as evidence for your case.
All right, we have 10 minutes. And in those 10 minutes, that, so first of all, like with that situation alone, like I do feel a way about her situation. Like that's one of those situations where you are really just like, girl, I'm sorry that you are even experiencing
Yeah,
that.
I want to say I'm sorry too.
Yeah, but however, live your best life. Like, I don't get that out the way. Seal that little deal up and have a hot girl summer like the rest of us. Amen. Amen.
She want the alimony though, so she
Get
want
that shmoney.
yeah. Get it boosted.
Live your life the best one that you can and let them raise their baby, honey, whatever. Because they, hey, and this is not me in my professional setting. This is me as the radio personality talk show host doing what I do here on this mic. In my office, it ain't this. I'm going to really do what I need to do there. This ain't that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is preparation for hot girl summer. That's what we do. Eddie, you can have your head on if you want to. All right. So let's use these last minutes for divorce. Solid. Just divorce, family divorce. Or like when we talk about family law, we just went into a whole spiel about child support. That seems to be a really big thing. But then just the divorce itself. So when people like, can people file for a divorce themselves?
Absolutely. You can file any case yourself.
Okay.
You're considered to be pro se, which means that you represent yourself.
Yeah.
The court will acknowledge that.
So, like, I know this is not to take anything from you because I'm going to quote you. You said that I'm going to eat and be blessed anyway.
Right.
I want to help. And that's what you're doing here. And we really appreciate you for doing that. But I really, because this is something that I see on a regular basis, people go on the internet, they print out some forms from somewhere, and they then go to the courthouse and try to file these forms and don't know how much it's going to cost. They don't know if they have the right forms. They don't know whose signature was supposed to be on it
Who to
before it was
take it to or
notarized.
none of that.
Right. Do I go to the same place I went to when I got the marriage license? Like, how do I do this? So you don't have to give it all, but just kind of help somebody
Overview.
understand, like, how to do this. What papers do I need?
So let me start out by saying this. I always tell people they can file things themselves. However, I always recommend an attorney because
Yeah.
what I
Let's
say
get it
is
done right.
you get what you pay for. It's you with no legal
Mm.
experience.
Okay,
So,
right?
Right.
But if you are saying, well, what do I need to get a divorce filed and get started? Pre-printed paperwork online, I cannot tell you where to go to find some of that. We do have like a eforms.com. I think it's like a something, eforms.com. They can Google that. There are certain forms that the attorneys can go online. We use. There are certain online resources. I don't know for sure exactly the websites because I do mine myself. As
Okay.
attorneys, we do our own. We type them from scratch. But you would need a complaint for divorce. You would have to fill out a certificate for divorce. You need to be prepared to pay a filing fee. You should call the county in which you reside to determine what that filing fee amount is. You also have to file what's called a CS 47 form. And you file all those at the same time and be prepared to explain or pay for how that document is going to be served to the opposing party. So those are the documents you need: a complaint for divorce, certificate of divorce, a CS 47, which is a child support form, along with paying your filing fee and how that's going to be served.
I've also heard some people say that they once something is filed, like you run an ad in the paper and they have like so long to respond to it, and if they don't respond, then the divorce is final, or what is that's just hearsay?
No, that's true.
Okay.
But that's a whole nother, that's publication when you can't find a person to get them served, and you go about trying to do it through publication, and they do run it for 4 weeks, and then after that it's considered to be served, and then you file what's called a default motion for default judgment, which is when you have the court to set it for a hearing. You come to court. If they do not answer or file anything, they're considered to be served, and the court can move forward through a divorce by default.
Okay.
Okay, but it's going to be a lot if I get into the law of that. But that's the general basis.
That's the general. Okay.
We'll come back because at least now we're getting some understanding of what's needed and what's necessary. So then past that part, so now we know what we need to do. We know kind of what's necessary. If there's nothing in between, like the CS 47 form, there are no children here. We don't have any property together. We don't have any cars together. We don't have anything. All we have is all the trauma that we've created together.
And a sofa.
That we don't even know. We don't even have that. I ain't even been with you. We don't have anything but drama. So like at this point, it's just a divorce. What is that called? Like if that's all it is, we both agreed that we're going to get a divorce. Is that contested or uncontested?
That is uncontested. Now,
Okay.
if you're filing it on your own, those documents are still required.
Okay.
But uncontested divorce It's when you are able to reach an agreement on the terms of the divorce, whether it's the custody, child support. It's not that you don't have those things, it's that you can agree to them. And if you don't have them, it's even better. But that just means that you're able to agree to those particular terms. And if so, then you would need to file several documents to get that filed in, and get all parties to sign. And then at that point, the judge will give at least 30 days, because in the state of Alabama, we have what's called a cooling off period. So after about 30 days, they would then sign and divorce you all through a divorce decree.
Okay, 30 days to cool off. Oh, okay, that's a long time, man. We going
I went through that.
30. You need
I'm
30
frostbite.
days.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm glad that you said that about the default, and I'm just gonna throw this out there because it was thrown out, so now I can talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I probably was wrong for doing it, but when I filed for divorce the first time, um,
Go ahead now. You just
he
started
didn't.
now.
He didn't show up. I thought he wasn't gonna show up. So I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to court and get a default." And he showed right on up with his attorney. And so my first divorce was thrown out, and I had to file again,
Well,
like the next day.
They shouldn't have thrown it out. What they do is set aside the divorce by
Yeah, she
default.
dismissed it.
Okay, they can dismiss it, but that means
Yeah.
somebody probably should have just simply filed it set aside. But either way,
Yeah.
yes, you would then open that case back up, and that doesn't go away. And defaults are set aside quite often. Court of Civil Appeals kind of make that known that they will, or they recommend, if someone can show that they have a defense to their case, or they shows up, or they answer, they will set aside a default. So be prepared for that. It's not a slam dunk, but the longer it goes on and nobody responds, answer, or changes that, they're not likely to set it aside then.
One more question about divorce from this side. How long does it take for a divorce to be processed? I know some people say it just got final. We've been doing this for a year.
Oh yeah, it's not a time frame.
Okay.
Yeah, and I apologize. I'm completely dead on my cell
It's
phone.
okay.
Okay, good. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. They
about
still
to-
hear you.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, because it's about to go dead. But there is not a time frame on divorces. It's a lot of things that are taken into consideration, especially if you have a contested divorce. Again, uncontested is different. I explained. That's only based on how soon you all get in and sign, how soon the attorney can get everything drafted up, get it filed in. Then you have that 30-day cooling period. Normally, judges, after maybe about, depending on their docket, 7 to 14 days, they will have signed that divorce decree and you're done. You're
Okay.
divorced. But with the contestant, you're doing this based on, or the time frame is based on the judge's docket. You don't know how many cases they have. So your first hearing, which may be a motion hearing or a mediation, and then you have your trial, that may be set 3 months out because the judge has a large docket. Or you may be set within 30 days. So it truly just depends on the judge that you end up having, would determine how long your case goes on, or if it's several continuings that are being filed. So it's not a set time for the divorce.
Okay. So for some it could be short, for others it could take a long
Just
time.
depends on your case and what you have going on.
Okay. Wait, Black.
Oh, I was just laughing at this last comment from Demetrius Starks. I'll marry you, Lady Wu.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay. Hey, Demetrius. So, awesome show tonight. Great information share. I think that just what we've covered, just from scratching the surface and the information that you've heard, we've answered a lot of questions, I think, and just covered a lot of general territory. So if they want to get deeper and they're ready to go ahead and make life be what it needs to be for themselves, take a load off and try to get things in order, how can they reach you?
Okay, yeah. You can reach me via my email, my website, or you can call. My office number is 205-332-3710. My email address is amoffetpowell@gmail.com. That's AMOFFETTPOWELL@gmail.com. Or my website, which was mentioned earlier, aplawoffice.net.
aplawoffice.net. We appreciate you for spending your Sunday night with us right here on Vital. Thank you so much for the great information. Like I said, she's a homegirl from right around the way. Inslee represents. So we are here. Be sure to stay tuned. We have the Magic City Spotlight coming up, and then tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Lady Wu's Midday Fun Shui. If you need any of this information, check us out on the Vital Show page on Facebook. I'm going to post some footnotes from tonight's show. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Father's Day night, and we'll talk to you on next Sunday. All right, everyone. Have a great night. Be sure to share the video if you have any questions about it. You can reach Attorney Powell at 332-3710, 332-3710. If you need us, you can find us on social media every day, all day. You can find at least one person out of the crew. Thank you all for listening and watching. Have a great night.